Hello there. Today on the Strife and Grimbone walkthrough, we're going to see if we can finish this adventure, or at least get close. Without further ado, we had finished Nemo's private quarters there and done the boss encounter. Now we're going to do these haunted areas. I have added in the labels for the rooms. Next is haunted cells. If you remember, this had to be unlocked using a key from Nemo's quarters probably, and there was a smell of garlic. So you prise the double doors open to reveal a passage running north-south. The floor is obscured by a freezing fog that laps in eddies about your ankles like a silent and ghostly sea. Tendrils of chill, wispy mist curl up your legs as if seeking to drain the warmth from your heart. As you look around, you see large shapes protruding from the fog like bits of flotsam and jetsam from a haunted shipwreck. Some of the shapes are horned humanoids, clearly bullfolk. And on a DC 15 medicine or warfare lore check, it can be learned from the bodies that they died of a number of different small wounds, including blunt trauma and sharp cuts and slashes. I described already how I used the standard weather fog effect for this appearance and used the regions to make that effect blocked for the whole area, and then I used a hole within the region to reveal again the weather effect in this area here. So we'll do the check now. Trade secret in case there's a crit fail. I think I'll change that to warfare lore. Rewrite it like this. Yep. If the players kick around on the floor or feel with their hands, they realise that many of the other items are strewn across the floor. Metal tools, some weapons, and most ominously, several small metal items of torture. So perhaps that's a clue as to all the wounds that the bullfolk had suffered. Each east-west passage has an invisible poltergeist. So should we do a subheading? When a PC turns a corner into either passage, roll for initiative against the poltergeist at +18, +14 stealth and +4 for being invisible, like greater cover really. If a PC beat the poltergeist, they are aware of imminent danger but nothing else. They could delay or ready a single action. The poltergeist's first action would be to frighten, which will be halfway along the corridor if undetected. Read the following. The chill of the passage intensifies and a ghostly shape comes through the wall of an adjoining cell. It turns, leering at you. Its face is a glowing skull with missing lower jaw and pale orbs in its empty eye sockets. Its lower body trails into floating tattered rags that merge with the mists on the floor. Suddenly it reaches out with gnarled pincer-like hands and rushes forward. Time for a picture, I think. And we can use the tokens that we had of the poltergeist. The usual story of okay. Do it again. Usual story of not being able to insert the line below. And then we should do the poltergeist themselves. Two of them. After the frighten, the poltergeist will follow up with a telekinetic storm and of dozens of broken tools and bits of torture apparatus that rise up in a whirling, unnatural cyclone and then fly in all directions, affecting all creatures in the east-west section of passage. In the second round, we'll do the other. Poltergeist joins the fray, attacking from the rear of the party. If the PCs move into the cells, note that the poltergeist can follow them invisibly or visibly through the walls. If a poltergeist is badly wounded, it will retreat, being naturally invisible, and attack again when the PCs explore the cells, coming through a side wall. A minute's delay will allow it to frighten again, because there's a 1 minute immunity to the frighten if success. And then we will describe what's in the torture cells. There are 6 cells leaving off the passages. I will do my own formatting for this. Oops. Okay. When the lever is activated, this turns on the pendulum. And then I'm going to make the hazard, put the hazard text separate. So these are going to be in table format. Oh. A, just do it like this. B, C. Let's see what format I did for previous things. For example, bullfoot pens. Okay, I seem to have got some formatting there. Let's just do this manual in. Not to worry, let's just do it unformatted. And we'll do the labels. Go to the lower chambers. Find an A. Go to there, yeah, copy it. And then to the mines again. Did it not copy? Yep. And the journal page is the haunted cells. That needs to update. Let's check if it does. That's updated. Let's quit that. B. C. D. E. And F. So A is the door is stuck open, so we'll have that door open. The door, and B, the door of this room is closed and stuck. Force open DC 15. Inside are bits of broken pottery and urns. Among them, hidden under the fog, are scattered a number of ancient gold coins. Search check DC 10 to find 8 coins. Perception check DC 10. So if they meet DC 10, they find 8. If they meet DC 15, they find 16, 20, 32, and 25, 57 coins. I think it's okay just manually to put those coins in. See, the door of the cell is open. Inside are a number of tools and instruments of torture. D, the door is closed but easily opened. The cell is dominated by an ancient Iron Maiden. If a PC inspects it too closely by leaning in and the poltergeists are still active, its lid suddenly slams shut on them, doing 5d8 piercing damage with a DC 21 basic reflex save. E, the door is closed and stuck. Force open DC 18. And I see another one here. Inside are random weapons, corroded and useless, as well as items of torture. On a DC 15 search check, again we use our perception there. An intact clay tablet may be found with writing in ancient Thessalonian. And we'll do the image for this. That's not the right one. It's probably pendulum. Bit and the pendulum. So on the clay tablet is written, when will the torture end? Not only must I face the promise of the pit and the pendulum, but while I wait in a cell I hear, or imagine I hear, furtive scratchings and scrapings of tools coming from the walls. It is as if something unpleasant is trying to reach me, but not to free me. I experience periods of confusion that perhaps just reflect my mental as well as physical anguish, but I am sure objects around the cell are moved when I am not looking. I previously thought that death, even the pit, would be a release from my torment, but now I fear for my very soul. I pray that my amulet, the only item I was able to hide upon my person, may protect me from this menace. So obviously he was starting to fall foul of the poltergeists. And indeed, in the next cell is the pit and the pendulum, and the amulet which the writer of the clay tablet was referring to. The door is stuck but low DC. Next to the door is a lever. If activated while the door is closed, I will do it outside the door. Outside the door in the passage is a lever. If activated while the door is closed, the PCs hear a grating followed by a repeated sound of sliding metal. Inside the cell there is no floor. Instead, the PCs are suddenly met with a yawning black emptiness. In the middle of the pit is a slab of stone, like a small sarcophagus lid, suspended by chains set into the side walls. If the PCs force open the door with an adjusted roll of greater than 15, their momentum carries them into the room. They must make a grab and edge check to catch hold of the edge of the pit or the slab. So I've done that, either a reflex save or an acrobatics check. To catch hold of the edge of the pit or the slab, as I say, their choice, and suffer no damage. When the lever is activated, this turns on the pendulum hazard. As you don't need to state that. And then here we come to it. Go to the macros, and it's called Strife and Grimbone pendulum sound. And we've got the sounds here. And it's activated the sound, and we click it again, and it's deactivated. Maybe I'll do a separate thing for the pendulum hazard. Do like a sliding blade. This delta DC is rather irrelevant because it's seen. And the description. Okay. So 6 long curved U-shaped blades with central pendulums this emerge from vertical grooves in the east wall and ceiling and swing over to disappear again in similar grooves in the opposite wall. The blades swing together, separated by separated by 1 foot north to south and cross 5 feet above the central slab. Despite this, 6 deep scores can be seen running across the slab. With each swing, the pendulums lengthen slightly. Lower progressively. Lowering the blades until they brush against the slab. It takes an hour for this to happen, dropping 6 inches every 10 minutes. A creature on the slab has insufficient room to avoid the blades and will take 1d10 slashing damage. Damage, I said it. Damage every round starting after 50 minutes, cumulatively increasing every round by another d10 damage. So there's a slow, painful death. Alternatively, for a quick end, there is the pit, hence the pit in the pendulum. And then disable. But so DC 27 to disable the swing of the pendulums. Oops. But this can only done from a position high up on the walls, and it's DC 30 to climb there. With at least one hand free, and this normally requires the combat climber feat. It's a skill feat. We could do damaging the blades there. Blades can be damaged and broken. Range attacks. Hardness a bit worse. Regarding range attacks or melee attacks on the same position of the walls. I don't think I need to do a routine, I don't really need initiative because it's 50 minutes later. And then just pendulum can obviously be deactivated from outside the room using the lever. And there's a bit more detail here. A creature can hang on to the edge of the slab only so long before falling. If the door is open, they may easily jump to the threshold. Otherwise, there is no purchase on the smooth marble walls or tightly fitting closed metal door. And I've got to climb DC 30. I'll just check what a hard DC is for 6th level. So a hard DC is 24 and a very harder one is maybe 26, so I think I'll change it to 26 for the climbing. The pit is 50 foot deep, 25 bludgeoning damage. With 6 strikes by upturned spikes on the bottom at plus 21 for 2d12 piercing damage each. So we'll use an action for that. Pit spike. That was opened here. So I redid what I'd edited out. Don't forget to press the save button when editing this. So I described the pit, so I'll call it the pit and the pendulum. Pit and pendulum. And because I'm talking about 6 level, we'll make it as a level 6. Right, so do the pit spikes here. (21), add the damage. 2d12. Piercing. Yep. So that's going to be really unpleasant. Okay. And then finally, the bottom of the pit. So we'll do the pit here. Change the prototype token. Bottom of pit, and there's the clue here from the clay tablet in the next room. Impaled on the spikes is an ancient skeleton. Beneath it are a few corroded metal clasps, all that remain of its clothing, and a small amulet. This is a healing amulet which provides the healing hands, feet, and a +1 item bonus to the DC for undead to save against the vitality effects of heal spells. And I'd done the item here, healing amulet. I just chose one of the standard images from amulets from the Foundry VTT, This animate provides the healing hands, feet, so you can drag that onto the character and they'll get that feet, which will change the dice rolls automatically from D8s to D10s, and then the +1 item bonus to the DC to save, so they can add in that bonus when they make the roll, or if they're doing vitality damage, that's when the item bonus would be added in. So, or perhaps they do a -1, for the undead to make their saves. Done there. And that's that done. Next is the long passage. So do our lines for the flavor text. The 10-foot wide unlit passage turns south and continues for some distance, the fog still present and chilling your bones. Roll a DC 28 perception check for the PCs. This is going to be an initiative check. If any pass, read the following. You see a disturbance in the fog ahead, like an undercurrent, and you have a distinct impression that some dark carpet spanning the width of the passage under the fog is moving silently towards you. Use the perception checks as initiative checks against the beetle swarms. Those who beat lowercase Those who beat the swarm's initiative may take a round to act, even if it is only to delay or ready a single action because they don't yet really know what they are facing. After these PCs have taken their actions, or if all the PCs fail their perception checks, read the following. You note a turbulence in the fog that envelops your ankles and see dark, writhing sheets slowly emerging from the mists and encasing your comrades' legs. You look down and see your legs are likewise affected by a carpet of crawling black beetles feverishly making their way up your body, threatening to envelop you entirely in a loathsome, biting, verminous blanket. So we'll do the beetle swarms. In fact, I've already done them. Here they are. ×4. And we'll have them start at the bottom and then move up. So I made these tokens 50% opaque, so that if PCs are underneath the token, you can kind of see them over or under. And in the combat, the swarms typically move in 4 contiguous masses, covering a 10-foot by 40-foot rectangle to cover as many PCs as possible, then remain in position. If any PCs are floating or otherwise unreachable, part of the swarm might travel up the 10-foot high wall to the ceiling and drop down on them for the same swarming bites attack. If drenched in the oil found in plentiful supply from the beast folk mines, this will repel the insect. If creatures are drenched in oil found in plentiful supply from the beast folk mines, this will repel the insects and they will not bite those creatures. They cease to follow such creatures if they continue onward. It would take an equal quantity of water to wash off the oil again. Creatures drenched in oil suffer the effects of an exploding barrel the first time any fire damage is taken. So we should probably add in this exploding barrel, shouldn't we? Add in an oil barrel there. Yeah, you've got the fire damage there. After the fight, for under swarms, the passage turns east again for a long distance before ascending some stairs out of the fog to a large temple-like chamber, somewhat reminiscent of the chamber far above with the lowered floor and statues, if the PCs have explored that chamber already. And that, of course, is the upper temple. And the beetles have that typical thing where if they can do a 1 action, 2 action or 3 action on a turn, and if they moved, obviously they can just do the 2 action one. If they don't move, it'll be the 3 action one. If for some reason they're slowed and they have to move, or it's just slowed 2, they get the 1 action one. A creature that fails its save becomes clumsy 1 for 1 round. If the creature attempts to concentrate or manipulate action while affected, it must succeed at a DC 5 flat check or the action is lost, because they're distracted because they're covered in beetles. And there's a cling reaction. If a creature leaves the swamp space, they can divert some of their number and they take 1d6 damage, losing some of their number, as beetles cling to the creature and continue biting, dealing 3d6 persistent damage. I think maybe it should be a bit less than that. 1d6, because it's just a few beetles. You can see for piercing, you do piercing, persistent. And you can drag that effect onto a PC to give them persistent damage, or have them selected and then click it. High winds or immersion in water reduces the DC of the flat check to end as persistent damage to 5. Obviously, these flat checks are normally 15 DC. And so we should probably do that, shouldn't we? check, flat, TC5, beetle bites I call it. Any area damage done to the creature destroys these clinging vermin. Maybe we should clarify clinging vermin. To distinguish from the ones that are in the swarm. That's the beetle swarm done. And the next encounter will be the Temple of Ascension and Descension. Oh, I haven't done the... Some of the green hasn't worked. That was actually because I had a double space between two words. So, if the PCs are returning up this way from the mausoleum and have used the platform, which we'll talk about later, click the macro to make the platform rise up to this level. So we need to get the area done, don't we? Before we do so, let's do the labeling. Get on that. Haunted cells. It's 50K53. Just list it like that. And then the passage is K54. And then we now need to do the lower temple. I've done the map here with the walls. Oh, need to do the wall drawing too, so we'll do that in a moment. I need to do lights. I've done a few sounds, so we'll do some of the text description, and then I'll do the walls and the other tiles and the lights and sounds as usual. So we'll do the interesting bits now. This is the passage coming in. At the top of the steps you enter a pillared marble hall with a lofty ceiling. The walls and ceiling are covered in bas-relief carvings of ancient Thessalonian life in a city built upon a lake, with numerous pleasure boats plying the waterways that crisscross the grand marble metal domed buildings. Beast folk like those you have encountered labour to carry out menial tasks. In the centre of the floor is a 15-foot diameter pit, more like 10 foot, isn't it? A similar shaft rises up through the ceiling above the pit, and obviously that shaft goes up to the upper temple, which is there. On the other side of the pit, facing you, which you can't see because it's a bit obscured, but it won't be obscured to the PCs, the statue. A lone statue that appears to be made of tarnished silver. The statue is of a female humanoid figure with scaly skin, snake-like. Figure with scaly skin and her head framed by a cobra's hood. 6 feathered wings sprout from her back. A DC 20 Thessalonian lore. That's what. Check. Check. Will reveal this is Kushu, the herald of the Thessalonian goddess Lasala. The statue is a silver golem. It animates, and we need to do a macro for this. The secret block, and we've got a macro prepared here. Lower temporal platform. Right, so if you look at the thing there, the PCs will not see the faded out image of a floor there, they'll see black. But if we have our mouse near there and click it, you hear a sort of sliding sound. After a 10-second delay, the platform appears solid up there and the sound stops again. So this is achieved by the tile of the platform and in a hole, black having, so we've got a sort of filled platform and a whole platform, and the sound is the local sound here. And we've got a message. The platform arrives at this floor, and then the platform leaves this floor to do it again. So if it's hidden, if the platform is hidden, it becomes visible. Otherwise, the opposite. And after waiting in order for it to run each line, the sound will update to make a sound, and then this await new promise with R being a delay of 10,000 milliseconds, So we have a delay of 10 seconds, and then the tile will then, it'll update the tiles, so that doesn't happen until a 10-second delay, and then after that similar delay, the sound switches off again, hidden true, and then you get the message. Otherwise, the opposite happens. So clicking it again, will make the tile immediately disappear because it's immediately left the level, and then the sound will stop after a bit. That was that tile and macro, and then we need to do a macro for the golem. This is very similar to the gold golem macro way back in the other crypt. And this will make the statue tile disappear and the token appear. And it jumps to the token, which is nice, and you can make it go back again without the sound. So the silver golem statue of Kershaw. And this is a golem. It has a quicksilver action once per day to liquefy its joints into quicksilver and make it hasted. And its golem anti-magic is harmed by acid, healed by fire, slowed by electricity, and it's vulnerable to dispelling. And statue of Kershaw. If it is in a square that adjoins the pit, if a PC is in a square that adjoins the pit, including diagonals, the golem may attempt to grapple opponents, one action plus 20 grapple versus creature fortitude DC, pick them up, one action automatic, and then throw them into the pit, one action automatic. Allow the creature a reaction either to grapple the golem back to avoid falling, athletics versus fortitude, or to grab an edge while falling into the pit, which is much easier. Acrobatics, TC 15, grab an edge, oops, close that square bracket. DC Acrobatics or DC 15 Reflex. The silver golem can itself be shoved into the pit. Athletics rated 42, DC 33. It is easy to aid simply by helping to push or pull from an adjoining square or from further away, pushing with a pole or reach weapon. Don't think I need that. Well, aids are usually DC 15. Allow the falling golem a reaction to grapple the shoving PC and pull them in with it. The golem is too heavy to grapple and lift. Note that the golem's rigid structure means it has weakness 30 from falling damage, 80 damage in total. From the fall. So that may well destroy it, or nearly destroy it. The golem is sized large and cannot fit between the pillars. It can reach between the pillars, but they afford standard cover, and PCs can take cover behind them. PCs can take an action to lean out and negate the golem's cover bonus, and then another to take cover again. The golem cannot do this. The pit drops 100 feet to the master's crypt. The shaft rises 120 feet to K26. That's the upper temple. The climb DC is 10 with a rope or 30 without a rope. And we decided that 30 was too hard, to make it 26, so that it's very hard for someone to climb up without using the platform. There are 100 ingots worth of silver in the destroyed golem, but no energy means to carry it all. So, as I mentioned before, the silver becomes undervalued to a point, especially when they're 6th level, and we limited them to 1 bag of holding. The only means to reach the we should probably change this to here. Yeah. Okay, so I need to do the walls and some of the sounds and sights of these areas. These two areas there. That's the temple, and that's the mausoleum, going to be the final area. So in what I hope will be the final walkthrough, having done this, I'll be describing what happens in the Master's Mausoleum. Thank you for your attention, and bye.